Hey, what's going on guys? It's Tom Mason here, back with another video, and today we're talking about what's in this box and my final prints from Botswana. So let's get into it. So I hope everyone is okay and doing well in what are challenging times. I know. Hope you're having the opportunity to get out, shoot some local wildlife, be it in the back garden or on that daily walk. I know that it can be really quite frustrating being stuck at home. But one thing it has been for me is a really good time to catch up on a lot of editing and different things. That's really useful when you just love being outside, having to be focused and do a lot of those tasks that we just put off as photographers. It has been rather good for that. But no, I am pretty much itching to get back out and do some trips. And of course, for me, I've had a few different things cancelled this year, tours I was going to lead and certain things. And that is a shame, but there are far more important things at stake at the moment that we've got to focus on. So let's just think back and focus on the things that we can. But one of the things I was really looking forward to before the lockdown kind of kicked in was that of sharing some of my final pictures from my trip out to Botswana last year. For those of you who have been following the channel for a little while, you'd have followed all the videos behind the scenes in Botswana, shooting out on safari and different things like that. If you're new to the channel and you want to see those videos, I'll put a link up in a card or down in the description so you can find them, and then just pause this and then come back and start it again once you've finished. But for those who have seen them, today I want to share with you a few of the final shots that I was working on from that trip. I was hoping that I'd be able to share them in some of my lectures I was doing at the photography show, but now that that's been postponed all the way to September, I really wanted to kind of share some pictures with you guys and show you what I was kind of working on out there. I was shooting a load of different pictures, and you saw all sorts of different things from, the portraits of the leopards and lions and different things like that. But one project that was really what I wanted to do as a photographer was something a little bit different, and I showed you little glimpses of it when I talked about shooting those panoramics. But for me, that was really something I was focusing on whilst I was out in Africa. And today I want to show you a few of those final pictures. So let's open the box. Right, so this box, big thanks to Vince over at Photospeed, who has been kind of the printing guru. I think anyone who prints will probably know that Vince just knows his stuff. He's great. And I have a big printer that I've still got to get set up and put in my new house and stuff and sort it all out. But for the photography show this year, Vince sorted out my prints for me and was going to give them to me at the show. But when it didn't happen, he actually sent them over to me so I could share them with you guys. Now, one of the things I really like about Photospeed is the personal service that you get. You can phone them, get all your inquiries sorted. That's really nice. And secondly, the quality of the paper is absolutely excellent. If you're getting into printing at home, one of the biggest things is getting that color right and being able to get what you see on the screen to come out straight in the paper. And the fact that you can profile and get Photospeed to print up a test chart, send it to them, and then have a little profile that kind of clicks into your computer and then it just works perfectly, is absolutely ideal and highly recommended. This isn't some like Photospeed sponsored video, it's just something that I actually really like, so I thought I'd say that. But cheers Vince for sorting these out, because yes, I have already opened them and I'm really happy with them. Whilst I was out in Africa, one of the big things for me was to find something a little bit different to do. I'd seen so many safari pictures, so many pictures of the same sort of places, the same sort of animals that I would be seeing. And so I spent a lot of time before the trip, sat down and just thinking to myself, what would I really like to come back with? And after having conversations with my girlfriends, friends, people that I know, photographers and stuff like that, the more I talked about Africa, a lot of people said that, oh, these wonderful wide open spaces and things like that. And that really got me thinking in kind of the context of wide. And then I was thinking, hey, well, one thing that we don't often see are panoramic photographs of wildlife, because it's pretty hard to do. You've got to stitch two images together, it's got to work perfectly. And so this kind of little idea kind of went bing in my head that maybe this was the sort of thing that we could work on whilst we were on safari. And that is what all of these are. So over the last, year, I've been editing down the pictures that I took and kind of just getting my portfolio of a couple of panoramic shots to where I'm really happy. There's a few other ones that were not in this selection that I also have that I'm really chuffed with as well, but these were the ones I was first showing at the show, so they're the ones that you're going to get to see. So let's crack open this box. So I'm going to probably talk about this quite rough and ready, because you know, I'm just going to talk about the pictures as they come out. So the first one, let's put this over here, is one that you've already seen. And this was my vervet monkey picture. Let's get them out of the way for a minute. I've just dropped them off the side. Right, so this is my vervet monkey panoramic. Camera's in the way. Right, so this is my first shot, and this is of vervet monkeys in the tree. And this is one you actually saw me shooting whilst I was out in Botswana. I was in the boat, we were going down the Chobe River, and these vervet monkeys were up in the tree, you know, just a little family group, kind of just chilling out and being there, and it was a great opportunity to get that shot. You know, originally the first picture on my D850 is about this bit of the shot. You know, you get the monkeys, really nice, but the problem is it doesn't have enough space to show you kind of the landscape that it was in. And that was what I really wanted from these images, was that whole landscape. And so by shooting that second picture, this end, and stitching the two together in post, you actually get something that I think is really quite nice. And this was one of the kind of first ones that started the whole series off. One of those species that I hadn't seen that many shots of in Africa. I mean, the thing is they're really common, so people just kind of miss them. They're all going for the lions and stuff, but the common stuff I think is really cool. So yeah, I really like that one. It's a pretty simple shot to do. It was taken on the 300 2.8 at f2.8, and that's something that a lot of these images have in kind of, you know, common. They were all shot pretty wide open. The reason is because I wanted that depth of field that I often get in my portraits to come across in the panoramics as well. So it was important to keep that together. But yeah, this one was a fairly simple one, just quick 2 shots and then stitch it together. I say quick 2 shots. I probably took like 100 of each picture that you're going to see so that I could get the perfect 2 to stitch together. But this one, you know, as a starter, I'm pretty happy with. Right, number 2. Let's see what's in the box. Now, the next one is the only picture of the whole series that is not a proper panoramic. This is just a crop from my D850. You know, the resolution of the D850 is so great, you know, at 45 megapixels, that when you want to crop creatively, you have a lot of scope to do that. And so for this elephant shot, it was exactly that. I cropped it to exactly the same format that the rest of the panoramic series have. But for me, I love this picture. And it was one that I had thought about, and I'd seen so many dust throw elephant pictures, but I just wanted that scale, that space on it. And this shot came about largely due to just seeing something and acting really quick. I think as a photographer, you've got to know your gear, you've got to be able to look, notice what's going to happen, and just get the shot. And that was exactly the case with this. We were on the Chobe River coming down, and this elephant was right on the bank, and I just turned around, I saw it just, you know, put its trunk down to get some dirt, and as it chucked it up, I took 1 or 2 shots, and I got this one. You know, for me, I just love the way the dust is in the air, and the whole sky was the only day when we had this kind of like white blanket cloud that I just looked great. And for kind of a fine art print like this, it just works perfectly. The D850 as well, the quality and just the detail you can pick out from the grass is just so amazing. That camera, it just blows me away every time I look at the files. But this is the only one that is a single picture, you know, this isn't stitched in the middle or anything like this, it's just one single shot. And yeah, it's one that I don't think I would have been able to get the panoramic straight away because I didn't have the time to kind of frame it all up perfectly. It was just a one-shot deal, but luckily the whole scenario worked perfectly for when taking it into post, that I could crop it to the way I wanted to. One thing that was really lucky about the shot is the fact that what you can't see kind of out of shot here is there's a boat coming along the river, and literally probably about 5 seconds after I made this shot, the boat just came straight in front of the elephant, so I'd have completely missed it had it have been, you know, more than like 5-10 seconds later. So, you know, you've got to react quickly as a wildlife photographer to get those shots, but sometimes they all come together. I think one thing you can't always get across in video is the quality of the paper. Now, I'm using the NTS bright white for pretty much all of my fine art prints that I do. I've tested a range of papers, but the Photospeed, they sent me over a couple that I could kind of try out, and the bright white I really like. That colours are really neutral, it just looks really, really good, and these have been mounted for me excellently on like some foam, so they're all rigid and not kind of like floppy around. That was obviously for the photography show, but really handy for making this video. That's very nice indeed. The next one is quite funny because actually it's a subject that for the whole of my time in Botswana, you didn't see me make any pictures of, and that's because I didn't see many. Zebra. Now this is actually one of my favourites of the portfolio. I think in terms of the way I framed it and just the time, I really like it. For me, it was all about the mounds. So you've got the termite mounds in the corner. I just really love the scene. I love the fact that I had 3 trees, the 2 termite mounds as well, just worked really nicely, and I just love the colours of it. You know, this is really for me like an African scene, and that's what I wanted from the whole portfolio of pictures. You know, the whole kind of idea behind doing the panoramic was that wide angle view of Africa to give that kind of feel of the wideness of the landscape. And so when you find a group of, you know, a couple of zebra with some more in the background, well, you know, it's just a great opportunity to get the shot. Now this is taken with the 70-200 2.8 FL on the D850. Not using any teleconverters or anything like that, and it's just straight down the middle. The image is stitched about there to get the shot right, and it's just 2 pictures, the stitch itself. And you can see that it's also shot pretty wide open. It's shot at 2.8, ISO 64. I think that's one thing that, when I was talking about the D850 before, one of the things that comes up is people always want to know about ISO for low light photography, and that's great. You know, yeah, shooting high ISO is handy to get those high shutter speeds, but one of the things that is so good about the D850 is the low ISO. Being able to work at ISO 64 opens up so many more creativity options that you don't get on many other cameras. Being able to use that low ISO means that you can also go wide open even in the middle of the day. That is really handy when you want to get that depth of field, because it means that I can render the grass slightly out of focus in the front. You know, those termite mounds, they're drifting out of focus in the background, and it means that all the attention is around the zebra in that corner, and it just makes, again, a scene shot that I'm really happy with. Also with the editing of these, I'll put them probably all side by side at some point in the video as well, so you can see. I'm trying to keep the editing as kind of consistent as possible so they all match and the colour works well together, but of course with the paper it's important that when you print stuff they all come out like that too. So profiling your monitor is super important if you are editing for any print work. But yeah, I really like that one, and I wish I'd seen more zebras to photograph. Let's see what's next. So the next one kind of works with that one, and you'll see why in just a second. And that's because within sets of work, especially when you're working on portfolios, it's good to have themes that work through. And as much as obviously these are all shot in Africa, they're all safari pictures, having little bits that work between photos really helps to link a portfolio together. And so the next one, you'll see, has a termite mound in it. It also has a really nice lion in it that does help, of course, but the termite mound is a large portion of this picture. And this one was just shot really close. This was shot on the Nikon D5, and it was with the 70-200 FL again that I was using, wide open 2.8, and just getting that focus dead on the eyes of the lion, and then moving across. By working wide open with the panoramic, I think it gives you so much more depth to the whole picture, because you see that this area over here is drifting out of focus, the foreground leaves, they're out of focus. It just, you know, it brings you in a bit more. The lion, absolutely dead sharp. The D5 did an absolutely cracking job on this shot, and then stitched together right down the middle here, so I'd get that wide view. You can see in this one that it's got more colour in the sky, and I think that works well because there's a bit more saturation in the lion that helps it kind of pop out from the scene. But when you look at these two together, you'll see how they kind of match in picture wise, if you see what I mean. You know, I want them to link together. You can see those termite mounds in both, the Africa scene, the same cropping, everything like that. It helps the portfolio link together. And when you're working on pictures, you know, be it at home in the UK or overseas, thinking of these things as you're shooting, I think really helps you make better images, because you come home with not only 1 or 2 pictures that you're really proud with, but you have a portfolio that knits together really strongly. And I think that's something that a lot of photographers should work towards, because it helps you improve your skills as a photographer to not only shoot just for single images that are great, but then whole sets that really work together. And especially if you're one of those people who is thinking about going professional later on, having images that work together as sets, far more valuable for sales and for getting out there, for using, be it in fine art print collection like this is going to be, or for going into books, magazine articles, everything like that. If you've got stuff that works together, it's got far more value than single pictures on their own. Now the next one I really like. Now, one animal that was quite interesting to me that so many people would just drive past was that of Impala. And I know you see a lot of Impala when you're out on safari, but I think they're great. Like, I think all of these animals have their absolute place. And again, within this portfolio, I think you've got to bring everything together. Yes, you've got the lions, you've got the zebras, the classics, but also having the subjects that are, you know, the real obvious ones are really good. And this was my Impala shot, as it were. Again, exactly the same cropping, exactly the same style, but this one is made of 3 images. So you've got the first image that comes about to this rock here, the second one across that bit, and then the third right at the end, and then all stitched together in post-production. Everything is stitched together in Lightroom. I didn't have to go into Photoshop for any of the images. It was really good. That's basically because Lightroom's come on a really long way in its ability to stitch and make more complex pictures than it did a few years ago, but it's done a really good job on this. I love the colour palette of this. You know, it's very simple. It's the textures of the side of the water, again, back on the Chobe River. This was actually when we went out to the houseboat. And the textures and the colours of the water match really nicely with the Impalas. That late evening light was great for just bringing all the colour together. And the fact that obviously you've got your focal point of your single Impala taking that drink, for me, the water also was a key part of it, because the way that the Impala's looking, it's a real worry about what could be in that water. Constantly the attention to looking out for predators, things like that. I think it's really, I think it comes across quite well in this sort of shot, because you've got all that scale of what could be in the water as danger, kind of adds to the shot for me. And of course, you know, the Impala out of focus in the background, again, just giving a little more context to the shot. This is shot wide open. I think this is shot wide open at f4. I was using the 300mm 2.8 VR2 on the D850 with the 1.4 teleconverter to give me a bit more reach, and then, you know, 3 separate shots to give that final image and that width. And you know, the thing with using the wide open aperture, you can drift that focus out, you know, lose a bit of the detail in the background that accentuates, you know, the subject that you're mainly focused on, while still giving you the scale of that kind of landscape picture. That was the whole idea behind these shots. I think that one's come out rather well. So it's Impala, lion, zebra, elephant, and my vervet monkey's done. We're kind of getting down to the final 2 prints, and these are certainly my 2 favourites. Now, the first one that I'll get out is the shot that basically was the first image I made in the series, and it was very lucky, I will admit. I hate the word luck as a photographer, because of course I don't think luck exists. It's just good planning, preparation, and you know what you're working for. You know, when I went out to Botswana, I already had a list of images that I wanted to create, the sort of ideas, the style I wanted, even, you know, like shooting through foliage and stuff like that. So those things kind of help you build that luck, but of course you never know what's going to happen in the wild. You never know what you're going to come across. But on pretty much my second drive from Chobe, out from the Pangolin Safari Lodge, we got in the back of the van, you know, headed out on safari, and the guide just said, lions out on a hunt. And God, what an experience that was. There's a group of lionesses out, you know, stalking prey through the foliage, and as we drove along the road, we had quite a lot of encounters where they would walk across the road or be walking to the side of us, and that's when I got the image that I really wanted of a lion. So this is one stalking its prey, walking through all the foliage. You've got the lioness, and it's also shooting through that gap in foliage to give you the depth. You know, just that little window that I had. I actually shot this from the back row of the Jeep. That is probably one of the most difficult places to shoot from, but luckily enough it was a bit higher, so I could shoot through the gaps in the foliage, and it gave me the chance to pick out the lion as it was coming around. And I just shot 2 images, one of the lion and a second for the panoramic. I had the idea in my head, you know, I was thinking I wanted to create these panoramic shots, so it was just kind of spur of the moment, bang bang, 2 shots, and then edited together, it came out. I couldn't be happier with the shot. I just love it. The colours are really nice. It was a really subdued morning. We had some cloud overhead. Just, it was perfect. And there was this really lovely like purple hue in that morning that has come across really nicely in the print as well. The greens and browns. I mean, I absolutely love green and brown as colours, and I think this image, for me, really does make me happy. And of course, it's a lion, and I know there's so many lion pictures that you see all the time from safari, but this one for me, it's a little bit different, and I'm really quite happy with that. Again, 300 2.8 at f2.8 on the D850, 2 images shot straight after each other. The ISO was 400, it's 400, and I was shooting at about 1,000, 1,500th per second to maximise and freeze the motion to get the images, and yeah, that's one I won't forget anytime soon. Right, so the final shot that I'll show you today is probably my favourite, and it might not be everyone else's favourite because of the creature, but whilst I was out in Africa, you know, we saw loads of different stuff. Yeah, incredible leopard sightings, we had lions, we had all this stuff, but one thing I just love seeing every day were the baboons. Didn't matter if there was a lion just next to the Jeep, I would photograph the baboons. If we were just like following a leopard, you know, anything like that, I was like, oh, look, a baboon, and just photograph it because I love them. And one evening we were headed out to go and see the elephants in the afternoon, coming in and drinking, and I think you've seen some of the shots in one of my earlier videos. We were just treated to the most spectacular troop of baboons that came in, and the light was phenomenal. It was just perfect. It was that low sun dropping down, giving a lovely warmth to all the shots, and that's when I made what I think is my favourite image from my African trip, and it's of baboons. Now that is a shot that I love. The colour is just perfect for me. It's lovely purple hues, that late evening sun. You've got the rim lighting on the baboons that I just absolutely love. You've got the elephants drifting off in the background that gives you a bit more context to the image as well. That's quite nice, because you'd always see the baboons kind of milling around the elephants and stuff like that, so there's a bit more story to it. And then the width is created by that panoramic shot again. You know, the 300 2.8 straight down the middle is where the stitch is. It's about there. 2 shots edited together to bring the final image to life. Edited to the same colour standard as all the others, so that when they're all next to each other, I think they look great as a series. But if I've got to pick a couple for my wall, it would definitely be this one, of the baboons, and of the others it would be between, I think, the dust throwing elephant and my first hunting lion, because I really do like that shot as well. I think with photography it all comes down to personal preference of what you love to get out and shoot. And whilst I was out in Africa, I had done so much research to different pictures, different ideas. So many people had told me what subjects are the best. They're like, oh Tom, you'll love the leopards, or you'll absolutely be obsessed with the lions. But when it came down to it, it was the baboons that I absolutely love to photograph. And I think as photographers, we all find our little thing that we want to shoot, and you need to explore that. If you're out there photographing, one of the biggest tips that I can give you is to go after and explore what you really feel kind of drawn to. You know, shoot in a style, you know, think about things differently and say, hey, I'm just going to shoot panoramic shots as an idea or something like that. You know, just do something a little bit different, because I think different is so much more interesting than better than the same or the same again. You know, it just gets dull. So enjoy, explore, and try and create the images that you're really happy with. And for me, these prints right here, I am absolutely stoked with. You know, there are a few more. There's a leopard one and some other ones that kind of bring the whole lot together that I haven't finished fully editing yet. But when these are all done, I'm hoping to have a fine art print series that I will put for sale on a new website that's coming. But there you go. There's some of the final pictures from my time in Africa. I hope you like them. I know there's only very few, but that's professional photography. You know, if you want some really nice images, I think it's much better to come back with a concise portfolio that every single one you're happy with than thousands and thousands that are kind of okay. But yeah, I'm stoked with these. It'd be great to hear your thoughts, hear what you think. You know, are there any that you like more than the others, or would you like to hear more about the kind of techniques and stuff like that? Drop it in the comments below. I'll be more than happy to get back to you. But until the next one, guys, enjoy your photography and stay safe. And I'll see you soon.